adjust your life from molded from an orphanage to suddenly expected to live a normal life. And I just couldn't adjust. My belief was that they came to the orphanage, saw all the children playing in the yard, quite happy, and say, I'll take the one in the blue jumper. Well, if you take him, you've got to take the one in the red because they're a pair. We can't split them up. All right, throw him in as well then, you know. That's the way I felt. That I wasn't wanted. He was the goody, my brother, and I got all the nonsense. Everything was rationed. We had little tubs on the table each day of our ration of sugar for the week. There was 4 of us in there. There was 4 tubs. Mine seemed to go down quicker than anyone else's, and so on, and all that sort of thing, you know. But when she hit you in her temper, her arms went round like a windmill, hit any part of the body she can. And then she bites you, gets hold of your arm and bites you with those great big teeth of hers. And it was really, and I kept thinking, what have I done to deserve this? And you've got no one to complain to, but the welfare officers, they come round periodically, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. They would ask me a question, and they would answer. Until one day, there was a knock on the door, and they went to the door, she did, and then she called him to go out there, and left me alone with this welfare officer. And he leaned over, he said, you're not happy here, are you? I said, no, I want to go back to the orphan. Then she walked back in. After she left, she beat the crap out of me, wanted to know what I said during those few seconds. But that made a difference. He went back and reported, and I went back to an orphanage which was worse than living with them. It's like from the frying pan to the fire. And these people in the orphanage did not like children. The matron was out here somewhere. You tell her to haul ash, she's got to make 3 trips. I mean, she is big. And she didn't have tonsils. I never heard that woman talk. She shouts. And when she opens her mouth, she hasn't got tonsils, she's got a fan belt in there. Oh, it was terrible. And he was a thin, skinny thing. And the one story I'll tell you quickly, there we go, that I ran away from that orphanage. And I ended up down at the railway station in High Wycombe. Not High Wycombe, in Leicester, in the city of Leicester. You know where they just dug up Richard the Third.
Yeah. Richard the Third.
Richard the Third in the tour business, that's what we call him, because of the 2 princes. That's another story. And now they're trying to track all the ancestors of Richard III to give him a parking bill. Anyway, wait for laughter to die down. So when I got down to the railway station, and I had a ½ crown coin, and I wanted to go to London. Why London? I don't know. And I said, I've lost all my money and all I've got. And he said, well, you better tell the story next door. So next door was inquiries, and I told the story there. And she said, you better come with me. She held my hand and walked me over to this door, which was half open. And as we walked through the door, it said on the door, police. I ran like Steve Volkswagen up one of those railway platforms, jumping over luggage over it. I was fit, not like my majestic figure now. This is relaxed muscle, by the way. My doctor said I can eat whatever I like, but don't swallow it. Anyway, so where were we? And I went, and then eventually there's 3 policemen. You know those Bobby whistles you hear in the movie? They were, sounding, and people were staring. And eventually I ran and I hit this old lady and I knocked her down. And I stopped to help her. Because I stopped to help her, the police got me. took me back in there, and then they were trying to find out who I was, and I wouldn't tell them. Cut a long story short, one of the policemen said, "He looks a bit like one of those chaps from the Orphan up the road there." And I quickly turned and looked at that police officer. That gave the game away. The next thing, the master of the orphanage came down, never said a word to me. "Yeah, he's one of mine, he'll be all right, he's a bit upset, you know." We went outside, got on a bus, used that £0.5 of mine, that coin, to pay for our airfare. We went in the back door of the orphanage, and as soon as I got in there, he whacked me with both fists all over my body. And then the big matron come along. She loves a fight. She came down there and she started beating the hell out of me, you know. I had blood running out my nose, my jaw ached, my stomach, every muscle in me. And as I fell down, he kicked me and he stood me up in the corner and he said, "I don't want you to move or wipe any of that blood away from you." And the children coming home from school, as soon as they saw me, they said, "This is what you'll look like if you think of running away from here." And I was used as an example. And ever since then, after that, I was on punishment jobs, cleaning all the shoes in the orphanage and his. And when I cleaned his, I used to wee-wee in them. Anyway. So anyway, I was eventually taken away from there to the last orphanage of mine, which was on Hunstanton in Norfolk, and it was a far better place. And the master of the orphanage used to play dame in pantomime. And he was the one at the age of 16 got me on the stage performing. And it got that bad, the empty chairs used to get up and walk out, but no. But that's where I got my entertaining at the age of 16 in the orphanage there. So, but to cut away from the Tom thought it was a good idea, because I came as Santa. I thought it might be a nice idea for me to tell you a few Santa stories. Children, dealing with children at Christmas as Santa, I never dreamt that I would ever be a Santa.